Hi and welcome to this walkthrough video for Cat Toy Drums. Now this is a virtual instrument for the Decent Sampler plugin, so if you haven't already, the first thing you need to do is download Decent Sampler, and I will put a link in the video description for that. After you've downloaded Cat Toy Drums, you need to unzip the files and save them wherever you keep your virtual instrument libraries on your desktop computer. And then you'll see the contents of the folder like this. Now the main file that you're going to need is the cattoydrums.ds library file. And there's a couple of ways you can open that up, which I will show you. The first method is to open Decent Sampler. Now that can either be in your DAW like I have got here in Logic, or you can open it as a standalone app. And what you can do is you can simply drag the DS library file, drop it onto Decent Sampler, and it will ask you if you want to install the preset. Now I'm going to click no this time, but if that's what you want to do, you would click yes. However, either way, you're going to be presented with a list of presets. So we'll just choose the first one for now. So that's the first way of doing it. The other way is in Decent Sampler, go to the File menu and Load, and find the file that way and just click Open. This time I am going to install the preset, and then that gives you all of the presets right there to choose from. So the first preset I've opened is a dry kit, and you get 10 of those. If we click here, you can see there are 10 dry kits, and each kit is slightly different. So you get a kick drum, you get a rim shot, snare, a clap, and what I've called a lo-fi snare. So this is the snare sounds but treated with various lo-fi effects. And then you get a shaker. Now the shaker is spread out over 4 keys, and so it's the F, G, A and B. And then you get the hi-hats on the sharp keys. 2 of these are closed, and then you get the open. However, if you press the open and then the closed, it will mute the open sample, like so. And finally, you get the ride cymbal. Now you have to bear in mind that all of these sounds originally started off as cat toys or cat related items such as beds and food bowls, things like that. The only exception is the ride cymbal. Ride and crash cymbals are notoriously difficult to recreate, so that is actually a real ride cymbal. Next, I'm just going to walk through all the different controls in the user interface. Starting at the top here, for each channel you have got a pitch control, and this goes between -12 and +12 semitones. So let's just demo that. Then second control down we have a pan control. This might come in useful for things like the hi-hats, where you might want to pan them slightly off center. And maybe the ride. So that's just there as an option. By the way, if you want to put any of these controls back to their default, you just need to double click on them and they will go back to the default position. Third down we have the reverb control, and this is an individual reverb send for each channel, so you can decide which elements of the kit you want reverb on, which gives you ultimate flexibility. Let's listen to this one. And we'll come to this in a minute, but this is the menu where you would select the type of reverb. The next control is the decay. Now this will control how short or long the sample is. If it's at its full value, which is 1, then you will hear the full sample as it was recorded. So with drum sounds, we're talking about very short decay times, but it would be most obvious if I demonstrate the ride cymbal. With careful manipulation, you can really get some subtle changes. If you want to make the kick really tight, you could drop the decay right down. Same with the claps. So again, you can control the fine details of these sounds. Let's just zero those back to the default. And finally, we have got the color control. Now this is really useful for thickening up sounds, making them a little bit more darker, adding saturation. It's kind of a macro control of 3 or 4 different effects going on. So let's listen to that on each of the sounds. Snare. Lots of fun playing with the color control. You can really change the sound of the kit. The next control I'll show you is for the lo-fi speaker. Now this is using a convolution impulse response, and there are 4 different speakers to choose from. This control here though is for the mix of the speaker, and you will hear what that does. It totally changes the sound. These are actually real world small lo-fi speakers, and they've come from things like home keyboards, small portable devices like DAB radios. So there's a few different options there. But obviously the more that you blend in that speaker mix, the more it is going to make it lo-fi, so you're going to lose quite a lot of low end, and it's going to push the mid-range as well. But there you go, that's the lo-fi speaker. And I didn't really show you the different types of reverb before, so let's quickly have a look at these. Again, these are all convolution reverbs captured from either hardware effects like the Lexicon PCM60 or MPX 100, and the Behringer 636 Spring, and there is also a real world space, which is the small room there. So yeah, I won't go into all of these, but there's some real fun to be had. Let's just show you the Spring reverb. Lovely. Great spring sound there. So yeah, that is the reverb, and then we've also got a low pass filter over here. Now this affects the whole kit, but it's just a nice little handy feature. Saves you having to go into another plugin just for that. and obviously the lower you set the cut-off frequency, then the less high end you are going to hear. You also have a master volume, so you can play with that, but also you do get a volume control here for the plugin itself, which is the decent sampler volume as well. So before I demo the presets for the kit, I'm going to show you the MIDI files which come with it as well. So these will be in the main folder that you downloaded, and there are lots of different MIDI files here which you can import into your DAW, and these are really just to demo the different sounds. So let's just try a couple of these. Let's go a bit faster for this one. Try this one a bit slower, I think. Just a variety of different loops to get you started. But now let's have a look at the different presets. So the dry kits are subtly different in that they are using different samples for the most part. But you can really have some fun with the effects presets. So that's it for this walkthrough. I hope that's given you an idea of how the instrument works. Let me know in the comments if you've got any questions, and I'll see you next time.